Today we're making a Midwest favorite. At least I always thought it was a Midwest favorite. I know they also make it in Pennsylvania, but every recipe I found online makes it very different from the way I grew up eating it. Today we're making city chicken. Now, contrary to what that sounds like, city chicken has zero chicken in it. As a matter of fact, what it's made of is pork. It's pork on a skewer. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take those skewers, we're going to add them to some seasoned flour because it isn't fun without seasoning, right? So, garlic, onion powder, pepper, and then today we're going to add, just for fun, a little smoked paprika to give it a nice little smoky taste. So, I have no idea how this originated. I just know that it got called city chicken, and from the stories that I've been told and the stories that I can find is that chicken was actually really hard to get in cities for a while. So when you made this kind of chicken or made this pork, I almost lost one. This is what you did. You used pork cubes instead. Now, at one time, it used to be beef, pork, and veal that were all mixed together. Anymore, you can't find that around here. It's all pretty much straight pork. You can do this dozens of ways. You can just do it with tongs like this. It's a little cumbersome to do it that way, so I'm going to do my favorite way, because I don't like touching raw meat, is I use a biodegradable glove. I have a link for that in the description, so if you want to get some for yourself. And because, just so you know, it is gluten-free, so I'm using gluten-free measure for measure flour. And one way you can find out if your flour is ready, if it's something you're not used to doing, if you're not used to seasoning things up this way, you take just a pinch of the flour, it'll bubble up right away and start cooking. So then you know that the flour is ready, or that the oil is ready, excuse me. You don't want to crowd the pan, so if your pan's not big enough, don't do it. Looks like I'm going to be, I can move this down a little bit. I got just enough room for all of them. Woohoo! There you go. So I'm going to get all 4 sides brown, and then we'll be back. Okay, as you can hear, it's sizzling away. So what we're going to do next is going to pull these. We've browned them on all 4 sides. We're going to put these aside for just a second, and then we're going to make ourselves a gravy. First thing we're going to do before we add that seasoned flour, though, is we're going to toss in some butter. It gives the gravy a richness, and it'll be great for not just the meat, but also the potatoes that we're going to have. We're going to have mashed potatoes with this. So we're going to incorporate that butter and the oil. Something happens when you start to add the flour in. It starts to make kind of a paste. And you want that. You want that paste kind of consistency. And the reason I can't really give you precise measurements, to be honest, is because different days, different humidities, different temperatures, all those things can affect the texture of your gravy and your roux. This is called a roux. If you never knew what a roux was, this is a roux. When you combine the flour and the fat. Now, the important thing about a roux is you do need to cook it for about a normal roux, at least a minute or 2. The longer you cook it, the darker it gets. With a gluten-free roux, to get that floury taste cooked out of it so that your gravy is just really delicious, I would say anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. You just got to keep smelling it. And if you can still smell the flour in it, then you need to cook it for a little longer. Now, you can do this with chicken. You could do this with chicken stock. I grew up eating it with beef. So even though we call it chicken, we make it with pork. We put beef stock in there. Okay, that floury smell is cooked out. Now, I want to show you what happens when you start putting this in here, because When I started making gravy, every time I did this for probably the first 20 times, I thought I ruined it. Because what happens is everything seizes up. It becomes this weird looking paste and you go, oh no, I've ruined it. Because everybody talks about lumpy gravy. That is not going to be your problem here. Once it seizes up and it slurps everything up, you just keep adding more liquid. Not a bunch at a time. That will be how you get lumpy gravy. But you keep putting it in there and you let it absorb. You put some in there and you let it absorb. And that's how you keep your gravy from getting lumpy. You just put in a little bit at a time, let it all absorb, and eventually it starts to smooth out. As you can see, it's starting to loosen up, which is great. That's exactly what you wanted to do. It's going to be like a paste, and then you add some more. You just incorporate it, add some more, incorporate it, add some more. It takes a little bit of patience, takes a few extra minutes, but it's worth it. Now, the other thing is it will thicken back up. So I always make it just a little thinner than I want it to be for the final product, because it does need to cook a bit and it will thicken up a little more. Plus, we need to season it. We need to make sure it tastes the way we want it to taste. So if it's a little bit looser than you want it to be at the end, that is not a problem. Okay, now it's the all-important taste test. It's salty enough, but I also know my family likes pepper. So we're going to add a little more pepper into this gravy, because it's also picking up all the seasoning from the flour. So, and there's plenty of salt in there from the stock. And just to finish it off, I'm going to put these, nestle these back in the gravy. Now, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. Will they still? They will still stay crispy, because we're not going to leave them in there long enough to lose that crunch. So anyway, going to let that sit and get warm for a few minutes, and I'll be right back. Okay, now that they've had a chance to sit in that gravy a bit, we're going to plate up. We've got ourselves some green beans that we just made. We've got ourselves beautiful city chickens. We've got a lovely gravy for not only the city chicken, but also for these mashed potatoes. Whatever kind you like, that's what you make. And there you have it. Dinner. In what? Less than an hour? Delicious. Different. Bon appetit.